Today we're gonna go over Roger Moore's performances in James Bond. He played the role 7 times over the course of 12 years, more times than anyone else. Well, I mean, except if you take into the account the Never Say Never Again with Sean Connery, which I don't think we should. The man was really popular as James Bond. People from that time, of course, remember him as their #1 James Bond, often of the time. While his movies are some of the most iconic and entertaining in the series, his performances vary more than you might think. Sometimes he was smooth, charming, and effortlessly in control. Other times, the performance felt a little uneven. This video was requested by NS Sports TV 7231. I'm glad that he's taking time away from watching sport and watching some quality Bond content. And as you can see, I told the sportsman that I would be doing this video later this month.
I'm a man of my word.
Today, I'm ranking Roger Moore's performances in Bond from worst to best. I'm not focusing on the qualities of the films, just the quality of his performance in said films. So with no further ado, let's dive right in. Grab your Walther PPK and have yourself a martini, shaken, not stirred, obviously. Number 7. Coming in last place is his performance in The Man with a Golden Gun. This shouldn't be a surprise to a lot of you, because it has been said oftentimes that he is a little too rough around the edges in this film, meaning it feels a little forced. Sure, this was only Roger Moore's second outing, so you could say he was still finding his footing as Bond, but for me the unevenness of his performance comes down less to Moore himself and more to the producers. At this point in the series, Broccoli and Saltzman were still chasing that harder edge Connery vibe, and you can really feel that pressure in how Moore is written and directed here. He's forced into moments of cold brutality, like slapping Andrew Anders around. That never quite suit his natural style. The way he's like, I'll break it unless you tell me where those bullets go. It just doesn't feel right. Roger Moore himself even admitted later on that he didn't like playing Bond that way.
I look back on that with absolute horror.
So in a sense, The Man with the Golden Gun isn't just an actor still warming into a role, it's a tug of war between the producer's vision of Bond and the lighter, more charming interpretation Moore would go on to perfect. Number 6. A View to a Kill. Moore's swan song. This is a little different because at this point he's playing his version of Bond, still feels a bit tired and weird because he's no longer believable in the role. I mean, by the point, Roger Moore was 57 years old, and you can feel it in his performance. He's still playing his version of Bond, the witty, charming gentleman spy, but it just doesn't land the same way anymore. The action is less believable, the age gap with his co-stars is distracting. I think we could have gotten a pretty good film if they would have explored the elements of him being a battle-worn age Bond, because that's a pretty cool concept. That said, the charm never fully leaves him, but compared to his earlier outings, this one just doesn't feel as much alive. Even Moore knew it was his time to step aside. He already said later on that he was 400 years too old to play the part, so I mean, that's something.
Hello, my name's Roger Moore, and I sort of attempt to play James Bond.
At number 5, Live and Let Die. This was Roger Moore's debut as Bond. Smooth, charismatic, lighthearted. He doesn't try to copy Connery, which was the right move, of course, but you can sense that he's still experimenting with the tone. So my reasoning for this being better than the performance in A View to a Kill is the freshness and the believability of it. And this being better than The Man with the Golden Gun, simply take the scene where he's interrogating Rosie Carver, and he's like, I'll kill you if you don't tell me, pointing a gun at her very calmly, instead of all that tossing around, threatening to break arm kind of stuff. In a way, Roger Moore in this film feels less like 007 on a mission and more like Roger Moore turned up on set and decided to improvise his way through a spy film. But still, nonetheless, there is a sheer magnetism to the whole thing. Oh, you can see why audiences accepted him so quickly, even if he wasn't quite fully tailored to the part yet. The potential was there from the very beginning. Number 4. For Your Eyes Only. Now this is where Roger Moore gave his most understated and grounded performance. After the wildness of Moonraker, the filmmakers pulled things back a little bit into the Cold War spy territory, and Moore follows suit. He plays Bond with a colder, rougher edge. But this time around, it's different than with the Man with a Golden Gun, because he feels more natural and comfortable with it. He was just so into the part at this point. He's great in his delivery of, "You left this with Ferrara, I believe." And of course his comedic timing in the scene when he's with BB, "I'll buy some ice cream." Love this man. But the downside is a little bit the fact that it is a little too stripped back for his natural feel of being this character. He feels a little muted compared to his top 3, which we're about to get to. But still, you can feel that the man is definitely commanding the screen as ever before. So now we're coming to the top 3, and this really marks the peaks and just the highlights and just the way that this man commanded the screen at the time. It was just so good. And there's a reason why he did these 7 films. He was really popular. So now it's hard, because these are the creme de la creme. In 3rd place, Moonraker. Now this is the Roger Moore fun performance. The movie itself is outrageous, Bond in space, laser battles, Jaws as a comic sidekick, some sort of, yeah. But Roger Moore makes it work by leaning into the absurdity without ever winking too hard at the audience. And I think just even the scene where he says, "Did I? As you said. Such good sport." These little moments that he has in these films are just, I love it. It's really good with the one-liners, his dry wit, his straight-face delivery, and his good humor charm carry the whole film. It's understated, cheeky, and effortlessly charming. This performance shows him fully embracing the campy side of his Bond, and honestly, he's having a blast while doing it. At number 2, The Spy Who Loved Me. This is the film where Roger Moore really found his footing as James Bond. It really came together here. He's confident, he's charismatic, and for the first time, he feels fully in control of this role. The humor is balanced with real gravitas, and you can actually believe him as a secret agent. His comedic timing was on point, and the way he's just so calm and collective in the face of danger, just pure awesome. Would you like me to drive? Not a scene that would work today, but still Roger Moore makes everything work. The highlight of his performance in this film has to be the scene where Anya is asking him if he killed her lover. Just one of Moore's absolute finest moments. Moore plays it cold, direct, and utterly believable, because they had been having a sort of a banter this whole time, but this really takes you out of that tone and puts the things in perspective that he is, in fact, licensed to kill, and they are in a very risky business, as they know. So did he. Now, this is a very fine example of how underrated Roger Moore was. He could absolutely deliver drama if the script required that of him. He was much more than just one-liners and eyebrows. So this means, ladies and gentlemen, that Roger Moore's number 1 performance is Octopussy. Now this might come as a surprise to some of you, but this is where it just all comes together in one performance, takes all of the good things about his Bond and just smashes it together in just one heck of a performance. Even at 55, he still sells the action somehow. One of his best action scenes in this film, and so the leap between this performance and A View to a Kill, just 2 years, marvelous gap. And what's also impressive here is how well he balances tone. On the one hand, you've got him sneaking around in a clown disguise, pure Roger Moore silliness, yeah. And on the other hand, the scene where he's interrogating General Orlov is just, well, I just get emotional watching that scene. He's so good in it. It's just his shining, defining moment, and just, it's so good. His best scene in all of James Bond films. In the full spectrum of his Bond in one film, for me, Octopussy is the performance that sums up his entire era. I could talk forever about the greatness of this man and his performances as Bond, one of my absolute favorite Bond actors. So this is my list, ladies and gentlemen. Roger Moore may not have been the toughest Bond, but he was the most charming. His Bond was witty, unflappable, and totally unique. But what do you think? Do you agree with my ranking? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed this ranking, don't forget to like, subscribe, and all those good stuffs, and check out my other Bond stuff. And remember, nobody does it better.